Right now at 6, strike averted in Oregon's second biggest school district.
I'm relieved. I'm relieved for our teachers.
So what are teachers getting out of the deal? Plus, a much-loved neighborhood market goes up in flames.
They're such a great cornerstone for this community. I am very sad.
Then, tracking the toll of the fentanyl epidemic and the new tool to guide the city's efforts.
Well, I mean, our epidemic here in Portland has gotten pretty out of control.
And later, why people looking to recycle this in the Portland metro are now out of luck. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. We begin at 6 with a tentative deal reached in Oregon's second largest school district, one that avoids a strike that could have gotten underway as soon as next week. Let's get right to Thomas Schultz live at SalemKaiser District Headquarters. Thomas, this comes after close to a year of bargaining. How are families feeling about the deal?
Well, David, families are relieved after, you mentioned, almost a year of bargaining. They said they hope teachers would get some of the things they're asking for, like higher pay and more clarification around workloads and scheduling. And they say this deal achieves that. Now, bargaining started once again in April of last year. And last week, SalemKaiser teachers voted to authorize a strike. Picketing was set to begin potentially next week. This deal avoids that. In the contract, teachers will get close to a 10% pay bump over the next 2 years, along with a one-time $6,000 retention bonus for those full-time staff members who are eligible. Overall, the contract's going to cost around $43 million. Now, in a statement, the teachers union says the deal includes investments in educator workloads and scheduling, and that was the biggest sticking point between the two sides for weeks. The union says the deal also begins to address class sizes. Superintendent Andrea Castaneda says she's excited a deal was reached, though she is quick to acknowledge the district's still facing more than a $30 million deficit. So over the next few weeks, hundreds of jobs will be cut, and that's a reality that's led parents to call on the state for more support for schools.
So again, this is really a Band-Aid fix. I really hope our state, though, looks at the finances and the resources and really choose to increase that for Oregon.
And of course, these are same concerns that we heard in Portland during the teacher strike from parents and board members that lasted almost all of November. But it's important to note, these negotiations and those in Portland are very different. In Portland, there were 17 outstanding articles that the two sides hadn't agreed on by the time that the strike actually began. And the biggest issue, David, was just a fundamental difference in how much money was in Portland Public Schools' budget that could be allocated for teachers. Those were not concerns here in SalemKaiser. The two sides agreed on the budget, and there was only 4 outstanding articles heading into this week before they finally were able to get across the finish line. David?
Yeah, appreciate that context there. Thomas Schultz in Salem this evening. Thank you, Thomas. All right, to a quick update now on the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore after a massive cargo ship apparently lost power, then collided with one of the span's support pillars. I mean, that video, every time you see it, it just takes your breath away. 6 men who were on the bridge fixing potholes when it crashed into the bay are now presumed dead. Imagine this, one member of the work crew survived the 185-foot fall into the water and was taken to the hospital. Police were able to block traffic onto the bridge just minutes before that collision overnight after the ship issued a Mayday call. And while the NTSB's investigation is only beginning, today we checked in with Oregon transportation officials about the number of bridges with similar construction here in the Northwest.
And we're going to be watching this very carefully in the days and the weeks ahead to see what we can learn. Are there any issues that we can find out about this to see if we can improve our safety here in Oregon? We want to know more about what happened.
President Biden said the federal government will help rebuild the critical span as soon as possible. Stay with KGW and NBC News for the latest on the Baltimore Bridge collapse. Updates available anytime at KGW.com and also tonight on KGW News at 11. In your headlines this evening, a 9-year-old boy is recovering with minor injuries after he was hit by a school bus in Vancouver while riding his bike. It happened around 7 this morning on Southeast 10th and Ellsworth. The boy was pulled underneath the bus and got tangled in his bike under the rear axle. Firefighters had to remove the tires and lift the bus off the boy using hydraulic tools. He was taken to the hospital, again, somehow with only minor injuries. Vancouver schools confirming the boy is a student at Ellsworth Elementary. Police say the bus had a green light at that intersection and the driver has not been cited. Officials at the Schnitzer family campus in Southwest Portland say they were targeted by a so-called swatting call that briefly prompted a lockout. The campus houses the Portland Jewish Academy and Jewish Community Center. Portland police receiving the call late this morning, responding immediately, setting up a perimeter and sweeping the main building and classrooms as a precaution. The lockout was lifted once police and the FBI determined the threat was not real. Investigators now working to find out where that call originated. Authorities in northern Idaho are investigating an incident where 2 college women's basketball teams were targeted with racial harassment. It happened in Coeur d'Alene, where teams from Utah and UC Irvine were staying for their NCAA tournament games in Spokane. Players were walking to dinner Thursday evening when they say the driver of at least one truck with a Confederate flag stopped and yelled racial slurs at them. They say the same driver returned after dinner, revved his engine, then yelled again. Utah's coach says it's left everyone shaken up.
It was really upsetting, and for our players and staff to not feel safe in an NCAA tournament environment, it's messed up.
The teams later moved to hotels in Spokane because they did not feel safe. Today, Idaho Governor Brad Little and the mayor of Coeur d'Alene condemned the actions of that driver and apologized to the teams. And military officials at Joint Base Lewis McChord say 2 pilots have survived a helicopter crash. The military says the Apache was on a training mission when it went down southeast of Olympia around 10 Monday night. The 7th Infantry said the pilots were taken to a hospital on base for further evaluation, but have not released their names or the extent of their injuries. For now, the military is calling this a, quote, aviation mishap. Joe?
David, we are looking at some calm conditions along the Oregon coast at this hour as we go into Lincoln City. Mostly cloudy skies, temperatures in the mid-50s. Might be calm now, but it's going to be anything but heading into tomorrow morning. I'm tracking a strong storm that moves on shore early tomorrow morning. Heavy downpours for a good 3-4 hour period, basically from tomorrow morning into the early part of the afternoon. Along with the heavy downpours, we could be seeing some thunderstorms and some very windy conditions. Here's a live look now over at the reserve in Aloha with a temperature of 54 degrees. Now, we can't rule out the chance to see some spotty showers at times. That's what we are picking up on the radar right now. Also, a little bit of some light snow showers throughout the Oregon Cascades. Expect to see heavier snow showers move into the picture late tomorrow night and into early Thursday morning. We'll zoom in a little bit. You can kind of see a heavier cell moving in just north of the city right now. And as we look at the hour-by-hour forecast, we can see by, I'd say, 7:30, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, it is going to be absolutely wet, especially along parts of the Oregon coast, with the chance to see some very strong thunderstorms materialize. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
Yeah, it sounds like a big mess. Thank you, Joe. Flames lighting up the night sky in northeast Portland as a blaze tore through a strip mall, destroying a neighborhood market. Daisy Caballero is live outside of what is left of Pacific Market at Northeast Broadway and 67th with the very latest here. Daisy?
Yeah, David, every single neighbor that I spoke to earlier today tells me that they are absolutely devastated by the news. You can actually check out the damage for yourself here. Portland Fire and Rescue say the fire started inside this Vietnamese restaurant that's been closed for years, then spread next door to Pacific Market. Take a look at this video sent to us by a viewer. Portland Fire and Rescue say they received reports of smoke and fire a little before 2 this morning at Northeast Broadway and 67th Avenue. And within hours, the fire was upgraded to a level 3 alarm fire. At one point, 60 people were battling the blaze and keeping it from spreading, though 8 homes were temporarily evacuated for safety concerns. Thankfully, no one was hurt. I spoke with the neighbor who shot this video. He tells me he was speechless when he stepped outside and saw the fire.
We're on the balcony, and my brother says, "Tyler, get over here, look." And he said he saw a fireball just above the roof of our building just shoot up about 15, 20 feet.
Now, KGW did reach out to the owners of Pacific Market to see what their next steps would be from here. They declined an interview. As for the cause of the fire, that is still under investigation. David, back to you.
Yeah, I imagine they are going through a lot. Thank you, Daisy. Well, let us talk about a new way to track the human toll of the fentanyl crisis in the Rose City, part of Portland's 90-day fentanyl emergency. Blair Best has the latest numbers. She also puts them into perspective.
A bag of used makeup.
I feel a little bit more like a normal person, not like a, homeless junkie.
Lacey's defense to street life.
Waking up to a nightmare, Like the nightmare is supposed to be in the night, not like when you wake up every day.
Lacey grew up in Lake Oswego. Now 31 years old, she's homeless in Portland and addicted to fentanyl.
Just because I'm not proud of it, I don't want to do this anymore.
The life she tries to numb with powder is one example of what's behind Portland's 90-day fentanyl emergency declared late January.
I mean, our epidemic here in Portland's gotten pretty out of control.
As part of that emergency, this week, the Multnomah County Health Department released a new way of tracking the number of people overdosing and dying from fentanyl.
Today, we are sharing a dashboard on fatal and non-fatal overdoses.
The data shows 785 people died from suspected or confirmed overdoses last year. So far this year, 186 people have died from an overdose, 68 of those fentanyl. That's lower than this same time last year when 138 people died from a fentanyl overdose.
I would think it'd be more, just from the basis of what I've seen.
Matthew shows us his stashed fentanyl, that orange-looking line melted onto folded foil.
Because it's high-quality dope, this is about 20 hits probably.
And how long will that last you?
This will last me personally probably like throughout the morning.
Why don't we have somebody out there trained to do Narcan on the streets?
There are, just not nearly enough. Data shows Portland Fire has responded to 674 non-fatal overdoses this year. It also shows 392 people have gone to the hospital because of opioids. And under the emergency order, police have been targeting certain Southwest blocks, attempting to stop dealers.
As far as the downtown area getting cleaned up, I think, like I said, I think the police are doing a really good job, but it's going to be some other area, some other time, and the problem's just going to get worse.
Now, because this is all part of the 90-day fentanyl emergency, the county is closely tracking the number of fentanyl-related overdoses and deaths. But there are other drugs out there killing people too, and they hope to track that in the future. Now, people on the streets say following this data only goes so far. They're looking for more services like detox and treatment. That is, when they're ready to quit. Blair Best, KGW News.